So today's demo, we are going to be looking at detecting and alerting on unapproved software installs, automatically uninstalling unapproved applications. In our example, we're going to look at Dropbox. We're going to roll back specific Windows updates. And here we have a great example of a notification that's popping up in Windows 7, prompting your users to update to Windows 10. And it's just, if you're not ready to update to Windows 10, it's one of those that you may not want it there. And so there is a way to roll back that specific update. We'll show you how to do that. And then we're also going to run some reports and alerts on missing applications. And here the use case is if you have some type of compliance concern or you want to make sure all of your machines have a specific piece of software installed. Here you can run a quick report and it's just going to notify you, hey, these machines, just by machine name, are missing that application that you're looking for. So, in our example, we're just going to use Adobe Reader, but it could be whatever you want. It's totally extensible to whatever software application you want. You would just pull a quick report of machine names that are missing Adobe Reader, and that's what we'll do. So we're going to jump right in, and we're going to start with detecting and alerting on unapproved software installs. And for this, we're actually going to navigate to Goverlan management via Scope Actions first. And so what Scope Actions is to give you an idea, it's a one-to-many management. So it's me managing multiple users, computers, or groups at once. And very, very straightforward to build a scope action. And I already built it out here, but we're going to walk through it step by step. So first step would be to hit this Add New button. And then we're going to give it a name. And in this case, we're just going to call it Detect Dropbox, because that's our unapproved application. You could give it a description, and you can also put it in a category. So we have this like foldering view. I'm just going to leave it in this root category here. And then we define a target of users, computers, or groups that we want to alert on. In this case, I want to detect Dropbox, which is going to be installed on a computer. So I'm just going to click this Add New, and then I want to grab a whole container or domain, and I'm just going to navigate down to some production workstations here. Okay, so now I have a whole OU of workstations, and I want to detect Dropbox on these machines. Now, when I hit Next, I now can configure my action module. So in here, when you're detecting Dropbox, all you're doing is you're running a report on a recurring basis. So this becomes really straightforward, because all I'm going to do is my report in this top half, all I'm really interested in is this computer name. Right? Because all I want is a list of machines that have Dropbox installed on them. In my conditions, here's where I'm going to set which machines are going to be included in my list. So I'm going to come into Set Computer Condition. I'm going to move down to Software Products, and I'm going to go to Product Name, and I'm just going to set this to Contains, and just type in Dropbox. And hit OK. And this should be it. That's all I need to do. So again, I'm just bringing in computer name, and then I'm telling Goverlan only return results where one of the software products installed contains Dropbox. And so I'm going to hit OK there. Hit Next, and we're just going to do this, run this now. We're going to pull in an HTML report. So let's just run it quickly, see what happens, make sure we're getting the right result. And then we're going to go and build on this, and we're actually going to set Goverlan up to remove Dropbox from this machine, even notify the user or something else. So here you can see I have one machine in that OU that has Dropbox installed. Okay, so, and I know it's this Longhorn 3 machine. So what we're actually going to do is just copy the machine name, and I'm going to actually just navigate to that machine. I'm going to search for that machine here, and we can quickly confirm that actually Dropbox is installed just by clicking on Software Products. And then if you click on Product Name here, you can see Dropbox is indeed installed. But I'm also going to launch a remote control session on this machine, just so we can see what happens when we remove Dropbox and when we start manipulating this machine while there's a logged in user. So I'm actually going to launch the app here. just give Dropbox a second to load up. So there we go, we got the application launched. So I'm just going to drag this to the side. And now we're going to expand on this detect Dropbox and actually make it to detect, remove, and notify, and alert, and everything else, right? Okay, so we're just going to give it an updated name. Oh, I can't do slashes. Okay. Now I'm just going to go in here and edit it further. Now I know that I can return, I can pull a report of machines that have Dropbox installed, and I'm excluding machines that don't have Dropbox installed. So if I want to turn this into an alert, all I do is I run it on a schedule. I can come in here and I can say, I want you to go and scan that entire OU of machines, you know, either daily, or I can tell you, you know, even more often than that. I can tell you, you know, maybe every 10 minutes. I can tell you as often as I like. I can repeat the task every 10 minutes. I can repeat the task daily at a certain time. So that's how you move an alert to a report, is you just run it on a recurring schedule, because those Goverlan agents are passive. They're sitting there in kind of a listen-only mode. So they're not going to do anything until the console instructs them to do something. So here we'll just say, you know, every 10 minutes you're going to go and scan that OU. You're going to see if Dropbox is installed. And if so, you're going to send me that alert or pop-up or an email or whatever else we configure. And now we're going to configure a couple of more actions. So in here, I'm just going to go in here, and I know that I'm going to produce this report, but I can then go and add another action, like to maybe what I want to do is kill the process, right? So what I can do here is just provide the process name, and just a little trick to make sure you're getting the process name right is, you know, you can just open the Goverlan Task Manager here. And you can see Dropbox is right here, and this is my process name right here. So I'm just going to drop my process name right there, and we're going to terminate the child processes as well, if there are any. Okay, so now not only am I going to report on Dropbox, I'm also going to terminate the process. And we're going to go and execute another action in here, and we're going to send a pop-up message to that user, right? And the pop-up message is, you installed unapproved software, and we know. Okay, and we'll in the signature here, we'll just write the team that tries to keep this place secure. Okay, so now hopefully this user will learn their lesson and we won't have to go a step further. But if you did want to go a step further, you can come in here and say software products and uninstall a software instance. Okay, now I'm going to show you this in a second, how we can actually remove Dropbox, but let's go and first run this exactly as it is. So what's going to happen here now is we're going to get that same report. We're going to terminate the Dropbox process, so we're going to see it close in our remote control session, and then we're going to see that pop-up show up that tells the end user that they installed Dropbox and we know it. And actually, you can also, if the user's logged off when we detect it, we can set this to true, and as soon as they log back on, they'll get that same notification. Okay, so here we go. Here the fun stuff is going to happen. I want to set this up so we can see both sides happening. So here, I'm just going to hit this run, and we're going to get our pop-up first. And you saw that Dropbox closed. It happened really quick, but Dropbox closed, and our pop-up showed up. It says, you've received a message from the team that tries to keep this place secure. You installed unapproved software, and we know. And Dropbox is closed as well. So very simple. Detected Dropbox, we confirm that we can detect it properly by just running a quick report. And then we notified the user that we know what happened, and then we also terminated the process. Now I can go a step further, okay? So I can go a step further and actually uninstall Dropbox as well. And let's take a look at what that looks like. So obviously, if you're just in software products here, kind of on a one-to-one, you know, this is as if you're sitting at that machine, so I can just click on Dropbox and I can uninstall it, right? But you know, in our case, we're doing multiple machines at once. So what we would actually do is come back into our scope action here and add a new action, and we're just going to call this remove Dropbox. Oops. Got to make sure I type this right. Here we go. And then hit this add remove again, execute a computer action, move down here to software products, and we are going to uninstall an instance. Okay, you see this little warning pops up. It says this action must be used with a condition. If no condition is configured, this action is executed on all instances. So what does this mean? It means you have to tell Goverlan what software you want us to uninstall. You can also provide us with an uninstall software package. I think it's an MSI. Is that right, Victor?
Yeah, it can be either an MSI or an EXE, and it all really depends on the vendor. And specifically with Dropbox, they have a specific method of removal.
Yeah, but our uninstall instance will work no matter what, right?
Well, most of the cases are the uninstall instance. Basically, what it does is what it first Goverlan attempts to do is to verify if Dropbox left behind an MSI, which a good chunk of the apps do that properly, like the way they should, and some don't. So this will probably work about 90 to 95% of the time on most major vendors like Java, Adobe, all the big ones that we're usually used to. And we can go ahead and test it out and see if it works. If it doesn't, then I can show you the other method to really confirm. But we can just check it out now if you want.
Sure. So just to run through what we did here, we just went to add remove programs. Add remove actions, execute computer actions, software products, checked off uninstall instance, and then while Victor was talking, I supplied a condition. So here I said computer condition, software products, product name contains Dropbox. So now we'll only uninstall where the product name contains Dropbox, okay? And we'll just hit OK on that, and hit OK on this, and we can go and run this again. And here we'll just show the details. And by the way, my little banner popped up again in remote control, and you can see my report popped up as well.
If you want, you can right-click the software products online and check it out, see if it's still there.
I'm taking a look right now. It doesn't look like it uninstalled it.
All right, if you want, let me take control so I can demonstrate. This is a beautiful example of how not all vendors leave back an MSI, and they make it a little bit more of a headache to remove their apps off of the machine. Those IT guys out there that know about Google Chrome, how much it is a headache to uninstall off of a group of machines because they don't leave behind properly an MSI. You have to send a special command to it. So a good trick is you just right-click and you go to the software products again, and then in the list, you'll see Dropbox, and in this case, you can go to the properties, and then usually they'll leave behind an uninstall string, as you can see here. So in this case, I'll just expand this a little into a text file, and then you can see here that Dropbox is a little bit more special. They didn't leave behind their own MSI like most major vendors do. They coupled with it its own uninstaller, and Chrome is one of those vendors as well that leaves back their own uninstaller. So a quick way just to demonstrate how we can utilize this uninstall string that Goverlan parses from you, all we're going to do is just literally highlight and copy paste this real quick. I'm going to minimize this. And all we're going to do is modify this.
Before you do that, I just want to point out that Goverlan will report on failed nodes. So if you can see that it completed the first action without a problem, but the second action we had we had some issues. So there is a report back that, this wasn't completed successfully. This way you get that feedback and you're able to go and adjust your method.
All right, so in this case, Dropbox provided to us a EXE that we need to call to with its own silent switch and everything, as you can see here. here, install type machine. So we're just going to remove this specific action here. Let's remove that. And we're going to come here to add, remove, execute a computer action. And all we're going to do is basically use the Goverlan agent to call to that process that's locally on the machine. So we're going to go to here to execute computer action, processes, run a new process. And then here, we're just basically going to paste. And then we're going to take out the switches because the switches come here in the process argument string. Right here. And we just pasted exactly which, I can take out the quotes. You can leave the quotes if you want. So here we're basically telling Goverlan, hey, do me a favor, execute this process for me and run this argument string with it. And that's just another quick way that you can see how Goverlan can really be versatile when it comes to tapping into non-built-in actions that we have. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and run it as a specified account. I like to always, rule of thumb is to try to always run actions with a domain admin account because that's usually the highest level, depending on how your security policies are, and then go down from there. But that's my standard way to do. So in this case, I'm just going to run it as our domain admin account. And we can go ahead and wait for completion here if you'd like. The timeout, this obviously we're not sure how long Dropbox will take to uninstall itself. So just as a rule of thumb, I'll give it like 120 seconds just in case. We don't have to kill the process on timeout, and then obviously we want to hide the execution window. And basically all this is going to do is it's opening up basically a silent CMD on the back end, popping this into it, the uninstaller.exe with the install, with the argument string, and we're hiding it as well. And we just said, okay.
Well, don't we also want to set conditions so we don't run this on all of our machines where not necessary, I guess?
Yes, actually, thank you for catching that. So in this set computer condition, I removed it by mistake. So you come here to software products, we got to put the condition again. Contains drop. So again, we're telling Goverlan to perform an action up here in the top, and we're differentiating the machines on the bottom via the condition. So it'll only execute on machines that have the following true.
And the nice piece about that is you can target like an entire OU like we are and still kind of focus in on just the machines that are going to be affected. So, you know, you don't have to go and run like 3 levels of reports to try and get to what you're doing.
Yeah, so what I'm doing now is I went ahead and I right-clicked and I went into the task manager, and as you can see, I just executed the uninstall, and you can see that the Dropbox installer is now running, and it's running as the administrator account.
Yeah, but it did pop up in the remote control session, so we must have forgotten a silent switch or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can drag it over.
Yeah, you can. Okay, so you see this is another case when it comes to the specific uninstaller that is actually directly created by the vendor itself. So this might be something you have to research specifically to see if Dropbox provides a silent switch for that uninstaller, because then again, we are calling to that exe. But let's see something. Just as a quick test, let's see if they helped out all the IT guys and just included this switch. Let's see, hopefully they helped us out and included that usual switch that most vendors have at that side. Did you close it? Did we close it on the remote control? Yeah, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Let's try it again.
I mean, anyways, it's going to terminate the process if it was reopened.
No, yeah, you see?
Yeah, no. So, you know, here's it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in this case, this is the case where we're going to have to research on how to go and research the removal process for a specific app that doesn't have the standard, you know, methods of removing it, which we were actually going to get into when it comes to the Windows 10 update. So
yeah,
I don't know if you want.
This is a good segue here, so we can definitely work with this. So, you know, as a proof of concept, I think we got to where we wanted. We can definitely detect on unapproved software. We can notify the end user. We can notify anybody else, because in those actions, you can send out emails to anybody. You can notify their manager or anybody else. And then with a bit of research, we can find out how to silently uninstall Dropbox. It gives us a good segue into something we already researched, which is rolling back / uninstalling specific Windows updates, right? So here we have that Windows 7 update, the Windows 7 notification in Windows 10, and so you know, this is something that I just Googled, you know, Windows 7 notification in Windows 10, and I found this article, how to remove the Get Windows 10 icon from your system tray. And this is a nag, and it's a nag because your users see it, and obviously you may not want them clicking on it. And you can see that it's a specific KB that came out in April 2015, and we can see that KB number, right? So we're going to go and we're going to, you know, again, we did the research on that one, and we can follow up with how to get rid of Dropbox, but I'm sure if we just Google.
I just found it, by the way, if you want to.
Oh, you did? All right, go ahead.
Yeah,
go
it's /S. It's /S and not silent, so.
All right, let's just do that just for fun. All right.
And you don't need the install type machine, by the way. It just said you can just do it without it. So.
Right there.
Yep.
Okay.
So hopefully that's
so let's just run this again.
And go to the remote control and see.
Our reports pop up. And the prompt is still there. Maybe we didn't close it from last time. I don't know.
Go back and put the install type in it. If you go to the notepad that's open, you'll be able to copy the argument string. The notepad right there. We probably need to get install type machine. Try this one more time, and if not, we'll have to do some more due diligence.
Okay, here we go. Dropbox is being stubborn. Okay, we'll circle back on that one and find out the find that one out. So
yeah, we got to go to the support site and see what the proper switches are. I found it on IT.
Yeah. So let's go and remove that Windows 10 update icon. And here's actually an interesting thing about that Windows 10 update icon is I guess Microsoft really wants it there. And so our way of reporting on whether a specific KB is installed, we actually can't report on that one in the normal way. And we have to do a little bit of, I guess, manipulation. And so let's take a look at that first. So here we're actually going to build a custom action. A custom action is the same as a scope action. It's just a one-to-one. So it's just available to run on any one machine at a time. And I didn't mention this before, but if there are questions or comments or anything like that, please feel free to hit us up in the chat or the Q&A. You guys can make this as interactive as you want. We're definitely here to answer any questions. So let's first detect the Windows 10 update notification. Oh, I'm not typing good. Okay. And in here, we actually have to use a bit of WMI to pull in whether this KB exists on the machine. And so in Goverlan, you have actually access to the entire WMI repository. And so what I'm going to actually do here is going to report on a computer property, just navigate down to WMI objects, and I'm going to manage WMI objects. And in here, I can go to manage a custom list. And I already created this one, and all it is just this quick select statement, which we'll make available for you, select star from Win32 _ quick fix engineering. Okay.
Yeah, and those are all full compatible WMI queries that are all standard across the WMI namespace. So.
Okay, so we somebody has a suggestion for Dropbox. We'll take a look at that in 1 second here. So again, here we just have this quick query we include, and so you know, to set this up, just to give you an idea, all you do is hit this plus sign. We're going to add a new query object. We're going to give it a name, detect Windows 10 update, and then just paste the query in here. That's it. So really, really straightforward. Once you create the object in the object list, you can then report on it. So once you create it, you just come back into report on a computer property, and you navigate down here, and you can see that it's going to be available, detect Windows 10 updates. But in our case, we again only want the machine name. We don't want to actually report on the Windows 10 updates. We just want the machine name. So here we're going to bring in the machine name, and then we're going to go and set a condition where we only want to see machines that have that update installed. So you can see I can go to hotfix ID, and we're going to say hotfix ID is equal to, and then just put in that KB number right here, which I lost. So let me go grab it again. There it is. It's 3035583. Okay. So now what we have is just a report that's going to show me computer names that have that hotfix ID installed. So now we can isolate all the machines that are being affected by this Windows 10 nag. Okay, and then we can go a step further. And in here, I'm going to let Victor do a bit of talking and actually take control as well. And Wayne, we're going to cover that set scope button in just a second, because that's actually our next example. So just to give you an idea of what it does quickly now, right? So what this set scope button will do is only one instance of the query has to pass for the computer object to be accepted. So, you know, not as opposed to every instance of the query. When we look for machines that are missing an application, we're going to set it to all instances, because now we're looking for, you know, show me a machine that doesn't have this applied, and you'll see that in just a second here. So, Victor, you want to walk through the removing this Windows update?
Yeah. So basically, what we're going to do is
go ahead. You can take control.
So Windows 10 nag. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to tap into a already local tool of Windows. If you can pop up that Chrome for me. I don't know why I can't go full screen. Pop up Chrome for me.
Sure.
And basically, what we're going to do is we're going to tap into a already built-in Windows app, which is wusa.exe. But in this case, the way that we would research it, if we're not sure, because there's so many built-in EXEs, command line tools specifically that Windows has, that, you know, we don't have, you know, our own mental database of exactly everything that we do. So a good way to be able to research if there is a command line version of it is simply type in what action you're trying to look for and just put command line. So for example, when we remove Windows Update via command line. And then we have, you know, different technical ones. And for example, I'll just go right here to the first one here, and I'll look at SpikeSearch. So there are some, as you can see, there is a wusa.exe that basically allows you to go ahead and locally manage Windows updates on a machine via command line. So in that case, we're just going to come here. We're going to go to Add Remove, Execute Computer Action. And we're going to go down to Processes, and we're going to run a new process. Oh, and by the way, actually, before we go there, I want to show you another example. Bring me up the command line from the remote control session to Longhorn, or just bring me over the remote control session. Okay, I'm going to take control from here. So just as an example, here's a remote command prompt, and let's just do wusa / ? or wusa.exe / ? Or not, let's see. And it's not popping up on this machine. That's why. All right, So in this case, we're just going to wusa.exe. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the strings. And for example, we have a KBA here. Open up Chrome for me, please.
Yeah, I think I already have it for you. Just that string, right? There you go.
Yeah, I want to show them where I got the string from, so I can show them.
Okay.
So in this case, this is basically from, if you go to goverlan.com/support, and you go to our tutorial section, and you go to right here, tutorials, we input a whole bunch of scope actions. We try to update this frequently with cool things that you can do with scope actions that are day-to-day issues that pop up, and we try to stay on top of things that are going around in the IT world. For example, there was an issue on how to people didn't want IE11 on their machines, for example, and this is just another example how to install remove a Windows specific update by KB number. So you can see here, that's what we're doing here. You can see the explanation here that we call to wusa.exe, and these are the switches. So these are cool little tutorials that you can look into here on our support site for any cool things that we can do with Goverlan, just in case you want to see here. So this is where we got that from here, that argument string. And this is stuff that we research on our own end. So here we're just going to go ahead and put that in, uninstall. We're putting the KB, quiet, no restart, and these are all built-in switches with Windows here. So bring up Chrome again for me.
Sure.
Yeah, you see? So this is oh, that is not the one right here. My mistake. Okay, here. This basically just shows you the WEXE file is listed in the system folder, and this is the Windows Update standalone installer and uses the Windows Update agent API. This is just the basic exe command line utility that's on Windows itself, just so you can guys see. We're not, pulling any other magic here. And that's pretty much it. From here, you're going to do the run as type. In this case, like I said before, I like to run it always as the domain admin because he has the highest. Now, this is one specific thing I want to mention here. Every single Windows update has its own delay when it comes to being uninstalled. So the best rule of thumb is always to try to test this against one machine so that you can be able to build out the type of wait time that you need for the specific update. Because there's some updates that are real small and don't even require a reboot of the machine. There are some that take 30 minutes to uninstall, 15 minutes, and then require a reboot of the machine. So what I like to do is I like to just go ahead and let the process run. And then from there, I don't wait for the completion or the timeout, and I leave it on no restart. And then what I'll do is I'll wait about an hour, and I'll come back and I'll just run that report just to confirm if the update is still there or not. Or you can just go ahead and run the uninstall once, time it yourself, and then go ahead and put in the proper seconds if you want. For instance, in this case, we can go 999, go to true, and it'll just wait there if you want. That way you can just put it a huge number and just let it go ahead if you don't want to go ahead and estimate the amount of time. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and leave it there. If you want to kill the process on timeout, if you like, actually I'm going to leave it on true, and we're going to hide the execution. We're just going to hit OK. And that's basically all Goverlan's going to do. Again, it's just going to call to this exe with these switches, run it under this username, and then wait for the process to terminate. That's pretty much all.
And again, what you can do is since this is let me grab control back. Since this is a separate action, you're going to want to go and set that condition again. So just come back into WMI objects, go back to that hotfix ID, and only set it where that hotfix ID exists. So this way you're not running that process against machines that don't have the hotfix ID in there. So
and I wanted to, once you're done with that, there was one other thing I wanted to show them real quick here.
Sure. Go ahead.
So here in this case, I'm going to open up a local CMD window, Can you open up the local CMD on your machine?
Sure.
So here in this case, this is the reason why I wasn't popping up in command line, because some command lines allow, some of them come up in there. So you can see here that these are the switches, all for wusa.exe, the Windows Update Standalone Installer. These are all the switches that it has. So this is just a way to verify, you know, if the existence of that local Windows command line tool is there, and all the switches that it has.
And just a cool thing to note is that works on almost any exe, right? If you want to see the switches, it's just a whack question mark.
Yeah, for command line, for built-in Windows command line, yeah, definitely. So you can do that. If you want to click OK for me, because I can't.
Sure.
And you can go ahead and close that out if you like as well.
Okay. So now that we built this out, so again, we're detecting if that Windows 10 update notification exists, and we're creating a report of just computer names, and then we're removing the Windows 10 nag. So you know, from here, once this is built, you can navigate to a machine in administration and diagnostics. So here I search for that Longhorn 3 machine. I can set focus on it. It's going to navigate through Active Directory, drop me into the OU that contains that machine. All I do is go to Custom Actions, and it's available for me to run against this machine or any other machine. And so again, Custom Actions is just the one-to-one of Scope Actions. So I can take this same thing and just run it across my entire environment or whatever scope of machines I want. But if I just want it in a custom action as well, it exists there for me. Okay. And that takes us to our kind of last example here, which is reporting and alerting on missing applications. And Wayne, this is where we're going to be talking about that set scope button there. And so here we're going to be looking for machines that do not have Adobe Reader installed. And so again, we're going to jump back into Scope Actions and just hit Add New. And we're going to call this Missing Adobe Reader, but it could be any application. You'll see it's just what you put in that condition section is going to set what the application is. So Missing Adobe Reader. Again, we're going to define our scope. I'm going to again grab some production workstations here. And again, you can just grab all the machines in your environment or whatever you want to do. And here we're going to go and add remove. And again, we are looking for just a computer name, right? Because that's what we want. We want a list of machines that are missing this piece of software installed. So this is going to give us that list of machines. And then in the add remove section, we're going to set a condition. We're going to come down to software products here and product name. And we're going to say, does not contain, right? Because we want ones that are missing. Doesn't contain. Adobe Reader. Okay, so here's where that set scope button comes in. If I ran this against one or more, only one instance, then as soon as it evaluates one instance that it doesn't contain Adobe Reader, it'll report that machine back. So I wanted to tell it to go through every single piece of software installed and make sure none of them contain Adobe Reader. That's kind of the switch there. It's from, does only one software product not contain Adobe Reader, or do you want this to evaluate against all the software you have installed? All the software products you have installed. So I just set that set scope. I changed it to all instances. Okay, and now I can go to next. And we're just going to go and run this now.
By the way, I was able to remove Dropbox. It wasn't a lowercase s. We had to do a /capital S. Can you believe that? When it comes to the Dropbox remove, I just tested it on the back end, by the way.
Our vPro machine is slowing us down right now.
Did you select vPro?
No, there's just that one hasn't processed yet. I don't know, maybe it's powered off or something.
Yeah, it's probably offline.
We'll just give this a couple of seconds to finish up here. You know, sometimes you have a machine that hangs you off for a second. Goverlan goes through a couple of different steps to try and communicate with that machine if it's offline. So just give it a moment to finish up, and then we'll get a look at our report. Yep, here we go. And here we go. We got 2 machines that are missing Dropbox. And again, we can confirm this. I mean, missing Adobe Reader. We can confirm this, right? So we have Longhorn 3. So I already have that one open. I can just go to software products here. And I know I can see that there's no Adobe Reader. And actually, if I set focus on this machine, we can just quickly look. And actually, this might be a little bit of fun. We'll run one other report for machines that have Adobe Reader, just to give us a little bit of confirmation. So these are all the machines in my OU. So let's just run like the opposite of this.
By the way, when you're done, Ezra, I went ahead and I shared that scope action, the custom action for you.
Okay.
So for the Dropbox removal, by the way.
And here we're just going to go again. And so now I have it both ways. You know, I have one that has Adobe Reader, one that's missing Adobe Reader, and then I can decide however else I want to do. And you know, once you have this report, so again, it takes nothing to run the report. So let's run the report once. Just make sure we have our targeting right and the report's configured right. But once we have that condition set statement set correctly, I can then decide what follow-up actions I want to do so that I don't have to kind of run through this multiple times. So you run the report and then you just jump right back in here and you go execute computer action, software products, install a software package, and then I can just go and grab Adobe Reader. And now what this is going to do is it's going to provide me my report of machine names that are missing it, and then at the same time just install it. And my work is really cut out for me. So this really makes your life a lot easier. And I think that kind of takes us towards the end of our demo. So just to review quickly, you know, we took a look today at detecting Dropbox, alerting, notifying it, and automatically removing it. And then we're going to circle back on that right now. Yeah, go ahead. Grab control.
All right. So we're going to go back into this action. Now, in the back end, while he was chatting with you guys, I just went ahead and tested it on my end. And I created the action and I shared it with my team. I made it available for my team. So quickly, I'm just going to come here on Ezra's machine and I'm going to see view available objects. And you can see here, these are just like a little mini repository that you can do. And this is all centralized through the database. The sharing occurs through the Sure Data database. So as long as you're all pointed to the Sure Data database, you can go ahead and share objects. And here you can see I just shared it right now on April 15th at 12:43. And he's just going to import it. And as you can see, it's going to come here, or remove Dropbox actions, and you can just drag and drop it.
So there's a great collaboration feature, obviously. You know, if somebody on the team finally figures out the right silent switch, you know, you just create it, post it out there, and you're good to go. And by the way, you can do a share that's what's it called when it's enforced?
Oh yeah, I can enforce it. So we'll come back here.
And what that does is it creates like a use-only version of it, so that somebody else on the team can't mess with it. So if you spent half an hour researching what that silent switch is, you want to make sure you create that read-only version so that nobody messes with it afterwards.
Yeah, this is the little icon that you can confirm that it's shared with you and enforced. You see that right there, the little people's icon. Okay. And by the way, as you can see, it actually needed to be run as a system account, which was kind of ironic. And the switch was actually a capital S and not a lowercase s. So yeah, they definitely made it fun for us IT guys to uninstall their software from the machine, but we can't quit. So that's it. Let's go ahead and hit OK. And if you want to put the remote control.
Yeah, just hit run and then we'll pop it up. Let's just make sure there's nothing going on. Hang on one sec. Okay, so we still have it open. right? So I'm going to run it.
Just click on remote control.
So we can see that it killed it. We got our report. And I can see this machine is thinking about something now.
Now look at programs and features, or look at the software product right there.
Yeah, that's under it. So let's just see. We did it. All right.
And as you can see, it's live. Goverlan is 100% live. We literally just removed it, and I just right-clicked them, and you just right-click the machine, went to software products, and you can see that, and went ahead and confirmed that it was gone.
And this is really great because, again, you can just have this running on a recurring basis. It's only going to affect the machines that have Dropbox installed, and just yank it off of there. And then, you know, obviously, no matter what other application you want to keep an eye out for. And this is good if you like, you know, least privilege management isn't an option for you. You know, you have some C-levels that need admin rights to their machines, but you also want to make sure they're not able to compromise security in a way that you're not comfortable. So it kind of balances that control.
Yeah, and one little quick tip that I wanted to also throw in there for you guys is just another example on apps that don't supply an MSI for it. A good indicator is when you click on one of the apps, you'll see here on the left, you only get properties. For example, Google Chrome is another one. You go to properties and you can see that they have their own special uninstaller right here in the program file setup.exe with their own switches. But Java, which is one of the major vendors, actually did their coding wonderfully, and you can see here that now you have the repair and the remove program. And that's because they tied in an MSI with it. And as you can see, we get a lot more data back because they did it the proper way that you should when it comes to including an uninstaller. And Windows ties into that and gives a lot more info on it. And you can see that the uninstall string is an MSI exec/exen. This is the standard way an app should be able to pop up and be installed. And you just hit remove. And the uninstall instance would work on this type of app, as you can see, because it did have the proper vendor MSI attached to it. But that's just another example. Join Me has it, as you can see. Goverlan, of course, has it. But, and Citrix Receiver doesn't. This is just another example here. You see? They have their own. So this is just another example on how you can go ahead and still leverage Goverlan when software vendors don't make it easy for us to uninstall these apps from our machine.
And back to the Windows 10 update nag, Rob mentions that he was able to accomplish the same thing by turning it off in the registry and killing a process. And that just shows you, like, there's so many different ways that you can manage your environment, and Goverlan is really flexible to all of them, whether you want to follow the path of removing a specific KB or updating something in the registry. It's just, we provide you that way of communicating and executing these actions on multiple machines, multiple remote machines at once. So really, really helps you, you know, manage your environment a little bit more quickly and efficiently, and get, you know, get more done more quickly, I guess. Longer lunches, that's what we're all after. So we'll open it up if there's any other questions. We really appreciate everybody joining us today. I think this was an excellent group of topics, and we have some exciting stuff coming up for a future one. Hope you guys join us for future events, and thanks so much, and hope you all have a great weekend.
Have a good one.